Welcome, everyone, to the Babylon Bee interview show on our beautiful new set. Today, we get to talk to Alex Stein.
The cat is like a beautiful woman, like a supermodel. You have to romance it. You have to give it treats. You have to pet it gently. You have to give it just enough attention where the cat knows that you like it, but not too much attention. So you have to romance the cat. And once you do, and you can attest to this, Kyle, a cat gives you the type of love that a dog cannot give. Am I wrong?
I'll agree with that. I was a little uncomfortable with some of the language you used. Well, check out his YouTube channel also, and you can see some of his videos where he goes out and does crazy, weird, plays character bits. And
yeah.
But here we go. So welcome Alex Stein, and go check out all his stuff on the internet. Welcome, everyone, to the Babylon Bee interview show, and this is our brand new podcast space, the very first interview in our new studio. Welcome, Alex Stein. You are our guinea pig today.
Well, you know what? I really appreciate it, and I just want to start off by kissing your guys' derriere. The Babylon Bee is a great satire site, and that's what we need in this day and age. Literally, there's a huge void in comedy, and you guys inspired me because you have that Andy Kaufman-esque, is this real? Is this fake? And I think you guys do it in a journalistic style. I try to do it in like a culture jamming style because seriously, humor is dead, you know? And so like the only way to, I think, be humorous is to kind of blend the line of reality and fiction.
Well, I wouldn't dare compare us to Andy Kaufman.
I never thought of that comparison before.
But I...
Kinda. I mean, you guys don't like that?
We're also like Andy Kaufman in that many of us have day jobs in case this doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I like that he worked at a diner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's also another thing, you know, about Andy Kaufman. I mean, he's a weird guy. He's like my, you know, comedic idol. I'm not as good as Andy Kaufman by any means. He could do like the brilliant Elvis impression. But like I've talked about, you know, the culture jamming, that's what I do. I mean, I guess you'll talk about it a little bit. And I think that's what Babylon Bee does. You take like the most absurd aspects of our culture and you kind of just shine a light on it, like, and then people have to be like, "Is this real?" You know, it just that's what we have to do in this day and age of political correctness. There's no humor left. They're afraid to talk about all these subjects.
Yeah, well, the Kaufman thing is like being willing to be the butt of your own joke as well, and I think we've tried to do that. Like we try to have a good level of that versus the just smacking your political opponent in the face all the time. Yeah, you know, like humor for the sake of humor versus like always trying to own the lib. I mean, we own the libs 95% of the time, but the other 5% we're willing to.
You have to be self-deprecating. Come on, that's the whole point of comedy. Any comedian, and that's why I'm not even trying to call him out, but Brendan Schaub, I don't bring him up at the beginning of this article, but he gets crushed on the internet because he can't take a joke. I don't know if you're that familiar with him.
I don't know.
Okay, well he's like the buddies with Joe Rogan, and he has this comedy special that got like reamed with all these other comedians. I'm just saying, certain comedians, they call themselves comedians. You have to be the butt of the joke sometime. I mean, even Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle. I mean, they're not necessarily the butt of the joke all the time, but you kind of have to have that self-deprecating, you know.
And you get the sense that they can take a joke and, you know, in fairness, they kind of go after both sides. They're not people who are on the right, but they'll go after the left. Sometimes they're on either side. And I think that self-deprecating thing is what's missing on both sides in a lot of political comedy now. Because everybody's trying to make a point, it doesn't really have a fun sort of self-deprecating, we're all in this, we can all laugh together feel to it anymore.
Yeah, well, I was just talking about how it's so crazy how Bill Maher, who's like one of the craziest liberals, you know, was defending you guys so much when you got deplatformed, talking about how, you know, the video they got made, you know, deplatformed is basically making fun of the Twitter employees, you know. But that's kind of shows you that most of your content didn't get you deplatformed, but as soon as you actually have a joke that's like right on target, making fun of the people that, you know, shouldn't be made fun of, you're banned, you know, instead of it being like kind of a, is this real or is this fake? And this was basically, it shows you guys just did you guys just put a mirror up to what the Twitter employees were doing, going insane, and then, oh, that's not humor to them. Yeah, they cut you off immediately or suspended you.
Well, we found most of the stuff that gets us banned it's almost always an algorithm at first. Like there's a robot that goes, you know, and for whatever reason it thinks this is hate speech. And it's because, you know, when we write it in this satirical style, you know, we'll do something that's like, die, die, die. But it's like we're saying that in a satirical way. And they're like, oh, you're trying to murder this politician. And it'll filter us out. But then the weird thing is that it'll get reviewed by a human, like inside Facebook or Twitter, you know, and they're like, and they'll confirm it, like, yep, this was a legit banning. You know, you're just like, who reads these?
You're 100% right. I think YouTube is all artificial intelligence. It's transcribing what you say. But Twitter is the worst because people can report on Twitter. And I don't know if you've ever tried to report somebody. I haven't reported people. I'm not like some big reporter. But if you look at the thing now you can be reported for anything, for misgendering somebody. I mean, the amount of things that you can report, it gives a human being, instead of having to worry about the artificial intelligence doing, gives a human being like 10 million options to report people. So I think different platforms, it's different stuff. Like you're fighting the AI on YouTube. I think Twitter, you're fighting like evil people that just don't like your content.
I have found YouTube isn't quite as bad. I found like if you get one time one of my videos got flagged, but then when I appealed it, like a human does review it, and they were like, no, even if it's not entirely in line with their politics. Now I do think there are some people they still deplatform in YouTube, but it doesn't seem quite as bad as Twitter.
As long
Twitter
as you're not
seems
talking,
like the worst.
As long as you're not talking about medical stuff, you can almost you can get away with a lot. But as soon as you say anything about the Fauci-ouchie clips, and we love the Fauci-ouchie. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. You're the best doctor in the world. You are so good. We love you. Mwah. Especially at the Babylon Bee. There's a big picture of you hanging in here, but they don't want to admit that. So
that's right. It's over the urinals.
In the ladies' room.
So you do this city council thing. You go to the city council meetings, and what are you, just like an in-person troll? Is that what this is? Or?
Okay, well, let me tell you a little bit about Primetime 99, Alex Stein. I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes story. So I worked.
I'm annoyed by that already.
I'm annoying.
Primetime 99 with Alex
I'm on the
Stein.
grind. My high school football number is 99, and we're always on the grind. So just real quick. So I worked for a show called Cheaters. I signed an NDA. We catch people cheating on their husbands and wives.
I remember that show.
Yeah, well, it's still on. I can only say so much about it because I'm.
No, this is what I want to talk about the rest of the time.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Cheaters. So we did some stuff. But Cheaters, we do a lot of stunts, like you're running in places, busting people in public. So, like, I'm used to being embarrassed and causing a scene in public. So that's what kind of led me to this. And what happened is on a serious note, the guy that was hosting the show was a guy named Clark Gable. His grandfather was a guy, Clark Gable, from Gone with the Wind. He was like my best friend. When I talk about drug tolerance, this guy, I went to LSU. I knew people that did all kinds of drugs, had the highest drug tolerance I've ever seen. Well, he went and bought pain pills that he thought was like Vicodin or Oxycontin. I don't know what he thought they were, but he thought they were normal pain pills. They had fentanyl, and he overdosed and died immediately. And this is a guy that's not like some rookie 12-year-old kid, I
have no idea where this story is.
This story goes all over the place.
No, just wait.
It started with
why
Cheaters and then Clark Gable and then
So let me tell you something. I'll finish the story. So the host, he died of a fentanyl overdose, which is being rushed through the border. Nobody's talking about the border crisis and all the drugs. 108,000 overdose deaths in America, the record number. But what I'm saying is he dies of a drug overdose 2019. 2020, they say, Alex, you're going to be the next host of Cheaters. So then when it came to hiring me, they hired like a 52-year-old DJ named Peter Guns that was, I forget what rap group he was in. So I was like really disheartened, and they wanted me to continue working on the show. I said, F that, and I created my own podcast. And that's when I started going to city council meetings, and I started going very seriously, very earnestly, just being like, they close like the public restrooms at the park. And I'd be like, how does this stop the spread? Like, using a porta potty is not better than using, the normal bathroom. There's like this 81-year-old guy with a colostomy bag that said, his name was Rudy. He's like, I'm not going to use the park anymore. I can't change my colostomy bag in a porta potty. So I was dead serious. I was like, why don't you shut this down? Blah, 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 blah. I gave them all these facts and all this stuff, and they looked at me like I was an idiot conspiracy theorist. And they weren't wrong, but that's what they looked at me like. Then I realized the next time I went and spoke there a month later, I was like, I'm going to joke with them. And we have a guy in Dallas named Eric Johnson. I said, and this is like when the vaccine, they're trying to pump up the vaccine. I go, Eric Johnson, what would help get the vaccine to people is you need to go in the gay community and give Eric Johnson's free Johnson & Johnson. The gay community would love the double entendre. And since you're the first openly gay mayor of Dallas, people would really like it. And he's not. He's married happily with a kid. And he was shook. I could just tell by his reaction. I was like, wow, this is what I need to do. I got to joke. And so that is what opened up Pandora's box. And since then, I've been going there and just astroturfing as a crazy liberal or whatever the Ukrainian agenda is, whatever the agenda is, the mainstream media is pushing out. I just go there and I try to act like I'm a lunatic pushing it. So that's the story. That's how we got here at the Babylon Bee primetime. They're laughing at me. Kyle Adams laughing. That's what I want. I want them laughing. I want you guys having a good time. I got a lot of energy. I bring it. You know what I mean? This is it. Primetime. We're primetiming.
So your career was launched by the pandemic. So you're happy that the pandemic happened.
No.
Just like you're happy that Clark Gable died.
No, see, I'm not. And dude, gosh, I hate always having to bring this up. Dude, my mom died of COVID-19.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's really bad. She was given...
I retract my joke.
Yeah, no, it's okay. She was given remdesivir, and it's really sad, and they said they weren't going to do it, and I'm actually suing Baylor Hospital right now with my attorney, John Gross, so that's just a whole thing. And so the pandemic sucks, dude. The pandemic, I would trade all the little bit of success that I've had. It's like now I'm a Blaze TV contributor, and I'm potentially going to have a show there starting soon. And there's just a lot of opportunities that are knocking on my door now. I would all trade them to go back because the lockdowns, and we can only say so much for YouTube, but that is basically what my mom just shut down. She didn't do anything. She always wore a mask. She didn't go out. And all of those lockdowns, if she would have continued living her life normal, I don't think this would have happened. So when people say that, oh, Alex, you benefited from the pandemic. No, I didn't benefit one thing. I mean, now that I have some notoriety, I should have been creating my own podcast 10 years ago. Instead of being on Cheaters, producing those episodes, I should have been doing this a long time ago. Kind of like when you started in 2016 or when, Babylon Bee started, I know you were working a day job and you kind of just started it because, I was reading about it. Like you just, you were interested in it. You liked it. You're doing what you liked. You weren't like, oh, I want money. That's exactly how I was. I was doing this. I had some money saved up. I'm like, I don't need any money. I'm just doing this for the love of the game. I want to try to, culture jam. I want to bring awareness to what's going on. I want to wake people up because I think we're under constant trauma-based mind control. And what that means is the media, CNN, whatever Brian Stelter is going to say, it's always a death tracker. It's always like negative. The media is never going to be like positive. And if it is positive, it's going to be like Jean Perrine or whatever her name is saying, inflation's good. And, it's all, it's just when they give you, whenever they tell you if it's positive, it's really not positive. So I was just doing it to try to wake people up, because so many people are under that mass formation hypnosis. And now that I'm starting to have success, it does feel good. People are like, oh, I want you to do a show here. I want you to do a show here. It is great. I love that. But at the same time, it's kind of sad we live in a world that's so starved for content by me doing these stupid trolls and stuff. Oh, you're a genius. I'm not. I'm an idiot. I was dropped on my head as a baby. I just want that known. So I'm not a genius. Anybody can do this. Babylon Bee, I don't know, you guys, I'm sure everybody tells you, y'all are such geniuses, and you're probably like, not really.
Oh, people tell us we're idiots to our face.
Yeah, okay. Well, but you know what I mean. Kyle,
they say where you dropped on your head as a baby. They just ask us.
I'm just saying it's like we're so starved for content because look at the top movies from the 90s. It's like, Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, American Pie. These are like, some of the top movies. And the top movies of 2021 is like Boss Baby 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So art is devolving. So it's not. It's almost not.
Did you enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
I didn't see it. Did you see it? Was it good?
No, I didn't.
I heard it was good, but I didn't see it.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was terrible. I'm kidding. I didn't see any Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I haven't seen a movie in a while. I need to go see Top Gun.
Top Gun? Top Gun's great.
Well, I'm about to go. I think after this, I'm going to go to Scientology and see if I can try to find Tom Cruise.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully.
You're going to go into which one? The Celebrity Scientology
Well, the
Center
Celebrity Center, the blue one is the one I think I can get access to. And I'm going to just try to join. I'm going to say I saw that.
The one was it on Hollywood or Sunset? Is that the...
there's one on...
I've seen that one.
Yeah, there's one on Hollywood or Sunset, but then there's one that's on Franklin.
Okay, that's the Celebrity Center.
That's the big one. Okay.
That's the one. That's
the Celebrity one. I did stand up in there one time. They had a stand up show in the Celebrity Scientology Center.
Shut up, Adam.
And they were all super nice, and they didn't try to recruit me. And I was like, that's how unsuccessful I am.
Wait, you've been inside the Celebrity Center?
Yeah, I did stand up there.
That's cool,
yeah.
kind of. I mean,
there's a comedian who's a Scientologist that I met at another show, and she booked me on their show there. And there was some Scientologist audience members, some non-Scientologist audience members. And I have a joke about Scientology that I did at another show, and there's Scientologists there, and they enjoyed the joke, even though it was about Scientology, and started coming to other shows.
Well, everybody bashes Scientology, and I'm not a Scientologist, but it's like you look at Tom Cruise's this new viral video going around talking about how like antidepressants aren't, great for mental health. And if you really look at the side effects of antidepressants, like suicidal idealization, cotton mouth or whatever, there's a laundry list of side effects, and they're just anybody will prescribe you an antidepressant. You go to any sort of doctor, like your general doctor, your psychologist. But I think he has a point. I think we're over medicated. So in that sense of not taking so many pharmaceutical drugs, I vibe with Scientology.
It sounds like you're going to make a really good Scientologist.
I know. I'm already going to join. L. Ron Hubbard, Xenu. I think Xenu, the intergalactic warlord.
It'll be 20 years from now. You'll be like, as a bit, I've been a member of the Church of Scientology for 21 years now.
Me and Leah Remini are going to have a fight in the streets.
Yeah.
Now she's going viral. Or, she had that hit show exposing Scientology, but she's the only reason she got super successful in all of those shows was because she was a Scientologist. So it's kind of like, I don't know. When you turn your back on the people that helped you, I kind of don't like Leah Remini now.
You got to hand it to the Scientologists.
I think
That's
I
what
still
you're saying.
like Leah Remini.
You
But
do?
I don't have a strong opinion about her.
I liked the documentary. It was cool.
Oh, the documentary Going Clear is great.
good.
Yeah.
But then she had another show. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Leah Remini, but she
That's
got
exactly what you said.
well, she got all this clout from Scientology. Now she's getting all this clout.
I don't like her. I'm not saying I don't like her.
I'm in the middle with her. I'm in the middle of everything. But Leah Remini, she's just, I mean, I don't know, dude. She's just weird how she exploited Scientology and now she's exploiting it outside of Scientology. So she's just, she's very exploitive, I guess you'd say.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go back to the important stuff. Cheaters.
Yeah.
Tell us. So how real was it?
Well, I can only say so much. That's where I signed the NDA. It was the most real show that you'll ever see on TV. Every ounce of it was 100% real. And the thing about Cheaters, though, it's like, this is really what you guys do and what we're doing is we're so starved for content, and the show is like syndicated in like 39 countries or something.
Wow.
People love to see Americans like just be total white trash. You know, I mean, there's no other way to.
The appeal of cops and
Exactly.
all that is
And cops got taken away, but now they're bringing Patrol PD. I think they're rechanging the name. They're always bringing it back because we do want to see that. I think people want to see like other people doing worse than them. That's why they want to see somebody get arrested because it makes them feel better about their life. And that's kind of the vibe in California that I've seen. So I used to live here about 8 years ago. And I feel like everybody here is kind of in a, and this is my woo-woo thing, is kind of in a low vibrational state because seems like there's no middle class. Seems like everybody's either just struggling barely to make it or you're like super rich.
it's a vibrational state. Is that a Scientology?
No, it sounds like it, but I'll get into the vibration. So we are like bees. We're buzzing. We have vibrational energy.
Like
And
fish.
Well, kind of. You're either low vibrational. Well, say whatever. I'm just saying you're either low vibrational or you're high.
Did you hear that bees are fish now in California?
Yeah, I saw that. So they can protect them on the wildlife conservatory list or whatever.
That's the joke.
Yeah.
That he just told.
But this is what I'm talking about. The vibing is when you're low vibrational, you get attracted to other low vibrational people. That's why misery loves company. When you're high vibrational, you attract other high vibrational people. So it just seems like California used to be this, the king of the country. This is the best place on earth. It doesn't feel like that anymore. You know, like think about everybody wanted to go on vacation to Los Angeles and Hollywood and all this stuff. And now it's like, I mean, say what you will, everybody's kind of anti-Hollywood. And it's just weird to see how that direction, and whether it's like QAnon people saying, oh, Hollywood are pedophiles. I'm not saying that, but that's kind of like the underlying, I'm not QAnon, but I'm saying, that's like the, Hollywood used to be the greatest thing ever. Everybody idolized it. Now it almost is like a negative connotation. I mean, would you guys agree?
There is definitely a negative connotation to sort of being a part of Hollywood, I think. Apart from even the conspiracy theory stuff, it's just seen as being either elitist or too political or, even the film industry that's staying in LA, there's film productions moving elsewhere. It doesn't feel like the sort of central cool place to be all the time.
It used to be the coolest. Like you look at because I'm a reality TV show expert, like The Hills and all these, reality shows that would, just like glamorize California. Just the glamorization of California has gone away. And a big part of that, I think, is my dad, he's a bail bondsman. I'm a licensed bail bondsman as well. So in New York and California, they're doing bail reform. And that's the problem is now people can get out of jail for the same form you sign to get a public defender you can sign and you get an ROR bond, released on own recognizance. So if you're indigent, if you don't have money to pay for a bond, you can get out of jail. That's why there's a 23-year-old grad student, UCLA grad student, was stabbed to death in a high-end furniture store in West Hollywood. And the guy that stabbed her had 17 prior convictions, was let out of jail. So that's what's happening with our society is you're letting people out of jail, and these criminals talk when they go to jails. So they know to commit crimes in cities where they're lenient on it. So it's like they're rotting these places, these cultural places like New York is the same place with bail reform, California, and all that does is that crime breeds other crime. So we got to be not even
the vibrations.
It is the vibration. It is low vibrational.
Just trying to get
that is part of it. And California used to be so high vibrational.
Good vibrations.
Like the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Na 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 na. Good vibrations. Now it's like
harmony.
It'd be the Fentanyl Boys.
Now we're gonna get flagged for copyright infringement.
Now we're gonna get flagged for using
a music usage for
DMCA takedown or what DCMA takedown, whatever that's called.
It's just not glamorized as much, Kyle. This place used to be the mecca of cool, and it doesn't feel like that anymore. It doesn't feel as cool and hip as it used to be.
I mean, I love California. I do think LA has always been a little bit overrated or glamorized just in that because it's always been on TV and people have this image of what it is and it's not what it is. Like it's like the taco stand at 2 a.m. That's what's cool about LA, not the Sunset Strip. To me, I mean that's.
But then you just look at this. Look at San Francisco. I mean, everybody's talking about there's apps in San Francisco where tell you where there's human feces on the street because there's so many people pooping on the street. That wasn't like this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, and so you can just tell, in San Francisco, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I mean, you would never, 15 years ago, you would never say, oh, San Francisco is a hellhole. And now literally anybody you talk to, what do you think about San Francisco? Oh, that place is trash. And that's one of the coolest places in the world. So it's not just Los Angeles. It's like the whole entire state of California. And you got guys like Gavin Newsom, who's the biggest creep in the world, who cares about his haircut more than he does about his people. You know?
That's what's so sad about it, is that the problem with California is how it's run. I still think it's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
I still think LA and San Francisco are both really fun cities. They have so much good there going for them.
Yeah.
It's just the people in position as mayors, the district attorneys, or governor, they're just handing it over to crime and homelessness, and just the economic conditions are driving businesses away. It's crazy.
That's the point I'm talking about, the bail reform. I mean, that is a huge part of it. It's just the criminality breeds more criminality, the low vibrational stuff.
Yeah. All right. So what's your best bail bond story?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when I was a little kid, one of my first memories is my dad wrote a bond for this Mexican mafia, like cartel guy.
Like, oh, this is one of your earliest memories.
Yeah, this is listen. So because this is why it was really traumatizing, and so
I'm laughing about it. Yeah. It's going to end up being super
I'm like crying. Kyle's laughing. No, but this is messed up. So what happened was he wrote a bond for these cartel guys. I think it was like a $250,000 bond. So you pay 10%. So they paid him $25,000 cash. And as soon as the guy got out of jail, the cartel guy, he said, I want my money back. I'm going to come get you. So my mom and I had to go to Florida. We had to go hide in Florida for 2 weeks. And my dad went hid in like California. You know, we went to different places so they couldn't find us. So it's like stuff like that. One of the earliest memories was like hiding from the Mexican mafia on a bail bond. So yeah, dude, I could have been a bail bondsman, and I still have my license. And this is why the bail bond business sucks, is because you're dealing with criminals. And like you have to keep track of them, whether you put an ankle monitor on them or have them call in and check in. It's like swimming in a toilet bowl. Dog the Bounty Hunter is friends with my dad. I mean, we know Dog the Bounty Hunter. So if that says anything, You don't want to be personal friends with Dog the Bounty Hunter. That means your life is not going in the right direction.
Now, I know you signed an NDA, but can you tell us your best cheaters bust where you kicked the door down? And
the best one is, I forget, I think it was Steve Harvey that played it. So we caught two people there in one of these like dingy motels where they have the bathtub like next to the bed. You know what I'm talking about, like a honeymoon?
I've never been in one of those, but
you've seen them, right?
Sure.
So you could like, I guess if you're making love, you could go right into the bed. I don't know why you'd have. I don't know why the.
I don't know what the reason. Yeah,
I really don't. I've never understood the layout of that, but that was a popular layout. I don't know if it is any longer. So we bust in, and there's like 200 packets of like ramen noodles, and they were having sex in like a bathtub full of ramen noodles, like a bowl of soup. Yes. And so the reason why it was so memorable is so when they got out, they're naked in these wet ramen noodles. Part of the room is carpet, part of the room is like tile, and all the cameramen were slipping on the ramen noodles because it was so slick. Because they're like, when the noodles have been sitting in water for forever, they'd be like, they're just, so soft that people were just falling. So that was one of the most memorable ones because so many people were falling down. I was worried somebody was going to like bust their head open, but. Yeah, everybody lived.
Can you still eat ramen noodles or that room?
Oh, I eat them more. I eat them every day. I eat them way more. Every day.
More attractive.
Yeah.
Tantalizing.
Yeah.
Quite titulating. So when it comes to comedy, are you more, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but you go to these things, you do your Andy Kaufman bit or whatever, you do your council meetings. Are you trying to like make this big point to get out there? Or are you just trying to make everybody laugh at the...
Well, no, it's funny you say that because like people are like, what is your motivation? And the thing that motivates me the most, did I make you laugh on that? You okay?
I just inhaled
wrong
some coffee.
Wrong pipe. This is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to virtue signal. My favorite thing is when somebody tells me, oh, Alex, I went and spoke at a meeting because I saw you do it. Because really, dude, I don't care if it's the smaller the town, the lower the Parks and Rec Board. Doesn't matter what they are. Any politician that is in charge of something has this self-righteous self-importance about themselves, and it's so stupid. It's like you're literally voting on how far the sidewalk should be from the street, or whatever little thing you're voting for. But every single person has a self-righteousness about them. So when people go and they stand up and they call them out, it actually affects them now because I'm like well known for doing it. They almost want to ignore me. But I'm telling you, everybody, if you're in a little town and you're having an issue, you should go speak and say something because you don't know what the effect it could have. And you're not going to have any effect if you do nothing, right? If you do nothing at all, you're going to have no effect. So if you go and actually speak up, you can invoke change, and that's the whole point of life. It's like life is so short. We have all these people, these, social engineers, whatever, these politicians that are all bought and sold, and this is me getting the conspiratorial part. We're bought and sold by multinational corporations that donate to these people. So they're not listening to you and me because we're not donating to their campaign. So it's the reason why Pfizer, that's the reason why Apple computers, they have all the power. We don't really have the power. We need to take back the power. And the only way to do it is at the lowest forms of government, talking about the district attorneys, talking about whatever issues, the homelessness. Because if they actually hear you say it enough, they're like, oh, well, maybe we should fix it. But instead, they're getting all their information from corporations. They don't care about us. Do you think like a real estate company cares about, kicking homeless people out of places? They don't, because all they care about is making money. So that is really what we need to do, is we need to have more of a human touch instead of a corporation touch in the decision-making of our cities.
Yeah, one thing that the pandemic really revealed for us was how important local politics is. Mm-hmm. Just because our local sheriff where I am was told Gavin Newsom to go F himself or whatever, and you realize that those little things that you just kind of ignore at the bottom of the ballot, like, I'll vote for president, I'll vote for congressperson, that's important. Well, the local stuff can have a huge effect.
They have the biggest effect on your everyday life. I mean,
and obviously it'd be better if we had more power there versus the federal government. We don't right now, but we can still affect things on the local level, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, you say that too. It's like you look at society right now, especially in California. This is what kind of bugs me, though. It's like, I just went to where in Dallas they're doing a drag queen story time directed for children inside of a gay bar. Like literally, they were simulating sex.
And you were one of the drag queens.
I wish. I tried. I actually tried to dance, but they wouldn't let me. I didn't have good enough makeup. But that story was like the biggest story. Everybody's talking about how they're sexualizing children. It got shared, like millions of hits on Twitter, and everybody's talking about it. They created legislation in Texas. They created legislation. DeSantis is going to create it in Florida, making it where kids can't go to a drag show.
In California, we made it mandatory.
Yeah, that guy Wiener, he wants to make it K through 12 education.
Yeah, that was wild.
So that shows you where we're at. But this is the problem: is now we're talking about this. I don't care if you're a drag queen for adults or whatever, you do that. But the problem that is a big problem, the sexualization of children. But we have massive inflation. We're giving $60 billion to the Ukraine, and you walk around through California, it's tons of homeless people. We're not taking care of our actual problems because everybody gets distracted. Like, I feel almost guilty for bringing attention to this. Not that it didn't need to bring attention, because once again, they can just sweep all of our other problems just under the rug, and nobody notices. And now we're like having all this pearl clutching. Oh, these transgenders are trying to transition my kid. Yes, that is happening, but there's also XYZ that's happening too that we're not paying attention to.
Good answer.
Good answer. I know. I mean, I got an answer for every question. So.
And now you were telling me a little bit just before we started recording, you were suspended from Twitter over a tweet about this drag queen stuff, right?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I literally just said I was when I was trying to get into the event, I got attacked. Like, they knocked my phone out of my hand. I mean, physically punched in. And so there was a video of it somebody else posted, and I just said, we got to stand up against these sick psychopaths. And they got me for hateful conduct, and it was a 12-hour suspension. And so in my mind, I was like, I'm going to do the Babylon Bee route. I'm going to appeal it and not accept it, because as soon as you click the delete button, when you get a suspension, it even says on the tweet, you admit this is hate conduct or whatever. Yeah. So it's an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't do hateful conduct.
Yeah.
I don't want to admit this. So I was like, I'm going to have integrity. And then I waited 5 days, multiple appeals. I did the appeal process there. And then you can do through the help menu, you can, send them a message. And I didn't hear anything back. And I had multiple, people that are tech savvy or social media savvy that said, you just got to delete the tweet, because the longer you stay in the appeal process, they're less likely to overturn it because they don't want to look like they were wrong. So they're more likely to just suspend your whole account and just say sayonara instead of correcting their mistake. So then I had to delete it. And it makes me sick because I'm not as big as you guys. And you guys are having integrity by not deleting the tweet. I respect
and
that.
You have none, absolutely.
Yeah, zero. I wear women's bathing suits in city council meetings, so yeah, I don't have integrity. But this
you hypocrite. Yeah. Besting the drag queens on wearing women.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
We were dumb back in the 80s and 90s, and I think we're just getting dumber now, so that's why the Twitter
but now, to be fair, now they know their teacher's sexual orientation, so.
Not too much attention with the cat, it's like, this person, I have him around my finger. You have to romance the cat. And once you do, and you can attest to this, Kyle, a cat gives you the type of love that a dog cannot give. Am I wrong?
I'll agree with that. I was a little uncomfortable with some of the language you used.
This has been another edition of the Bee Weekly from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee. Reminding you that someone out there knows something about Carmen, and we're going to find them.